Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm Carla. I'm the president of the ISPOR student chapter at Karolinska in Stockholm, Sweden. I want to welcome you all. And there are a few more members of the chapter here in the call with me, Heloisa and Camilla. Let's just go into it. So the purpose of today is to go through what is ISPOR briefly, and then to present what student chapters are and what is the student membership. The activities of our chapter here at Karolinska that are, of course, open to everyone. And then we will have some words from Felix and Vasco, that are two of our network leaders. And finally, we will have time for Q&As. So ISPOR is the, but if you have questions also while I speak, you can just write them in the chat and then we will take care of them. So ISPOR is the International Society for Pharmaco-economics and Outcomes Research. And the goal of ISPOR is to improve healthcare decisions. So there are more than 20,000 members. So ISPOR connects professionals, researchers, and students in this field. So it's a very broad network, and it's spread globally. Here are the top 10 HDR trends of 2020, so last year. But this is just to give you an idea of like how broad the scope of ISPOR is and how very different topics and areas could be included in ISPOR. Within ISPOR, there are also some special interest groups that you can see here. And the idea is that there are like special interest groups or task force within ISPOR made of both like professionals and researchers and students that can join in all of these different areas. And as we will see afterwards, joining ISPOR means that you're able to participate in the activities of this group, of these groups, and giving like your contribution and learning a lot from this. And again, as you see, ISPOR covers like both more like biomedicine, biological perspective on like healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry, as well as like a more health economics and economic oriented perspective and statistical oriented perspective. So again, I would say that the points of view at which we're looking at these fields can really vary based on your interests. And the student network is also very spread. There are, as you can see, chapters in the whole world. It's being part of the student network means being connected with other chapters in different universities worldwide, which is really interesting because we get to share like activities, interests, webinars, issues, this is also a very interesting side of being in ISPOR. And ISPOR organizes conferences. We just had in the fall the conference in Europe, but for 2021 there will be one virtual conference, of course, because COVID doesn't allow for in-person conferences. And everyone is welcome to join this conference. So the title is HDR Evolving for Tomorrow's Challenges. And of course, our chapter will advertise the registration to this conference a lot. And I'm sure our guest speakers will talk more about conferences, but this also gives you an idea of like an important part of ISPOR, like being connected to like global leaders in this field and being able to listen to like their talks and participate in this is also very a great opportunity. There are other ISPOR resources on the website. So we have webinars of like different topics. I put here a bunch, but as we saw from the beginning, there are different fields and different perspectives that you can really cover in ISPOR. And there are also virtual short courses from January to April 2021. And they could be both like introductory, I would say, and more specific, but I also invite you all to go to the website and have a look at those because they might be really useful for your like research. And now going to the student membership. Oh, sorry. And one more thing, we're gonna add in the chat all the links to these resources that I'm listing now, because I know that this virtual format doesn't allow for you like to just click, but we're going to share all the links so that you can like have a look at all the different parts of the ISPOR website afterwards. And then going to the student membership. So I would say that many of the ISPOR resources are for free online, but of course, if you want to join as a member, then there are even more benefits that you can get. So as I said earlier, you can join a special interest group or task force. You can get discounted tickets for the conferences. You can get into the ISPOR Career Center that includes both like professional opportunities or like fellowships and internships. So I would say it's really wide, and it's useful for any level of your career. And then you get the online subscription to the 3 journals that ISPOR has. So Value in Health, Regional Issues, and Value and Outcomes Spotlight. And the student membership is for full-time graduate students, undergrad students, and academic fellows. So yeah. And of course, if you have questions, like just let us know. And here is the chapter at Karolinska. So it's 6 of us right now. So it's Ian, me, Amy, Alexa, Heloisa, and Camila. Some of us started in January, some joined last fall, and we're really trying to create a very like active environment. I would say we're learning to collaborate and to create activities targeting both like master students, as we all are, but also PhD students, because as you could see from all the resources and activities that I presented you so far, ISPOR is really a good way to join the scientific community in this area. So, and these are the activities that we planned for the semester. So all of our events are going to be online, of course, and they're free. We organize them together with Folkuniversitetet, and which is a Swedish institution and who supports student organizations, and then Karolinska Institutet. So we're collaborating with the alumni office at Karolinska and some other departments. So we were able to organize for this semester 4 series of events, like a series with researchers in HEOR, then lunch and learn with professionals, a digital health series, and then the PhD series, which we would like to focus our attention on right now. So the idea with the PhD series is that any PhD student could join and share your research and PhD project. And it's a great way for networking with people not only in your like area or department, but also like widen a little bit your like horizon and research interests, to learn from others, of course. And we will have like ideally we will invite people and speakers from KI and also from other universities. And here are 3 talks that we have already planned. So we have 3 different people in different areas. So yeah, this like one in health economics, epidemiology, and health policy. So the idea is again to be really open about the topics. And here are some of our events planned for the semester. We already have more than 10 events planned for like from now to May. So we will, like, these are a few highlights. So we will have Joachim Forsgren from the European Innovative Medicines Initiative. We will have Dr. Karen Freyer about nutrition economics, and she is from an ISPOR special interest group. So she also presented at the ISPOR conference last fall. Then we will have Filippa Sampaio, who is a researcher at Uppsala University about child mental health. And then we will have Nurgul Özbek in the digital health series, so the value-based assessment of medical devices. But here are ways to keep in touch with us. So if you follow us on our social media channels, you will have access to all the to the full list of our events as we organize them. And again, like participation is totally free. But also, like, feel free to, as a PhD student, to volunteer for the PhD series. We're looking forward to hearing about like your project. And I would say that now it's time to give voice to our guests. So Vasco and Felix.
Do you want me to start?
I would say, yeah, go first.
All right. So, hi, everybody. Let me just make sure that I can share the screen effectively. Is this working?
Yeah, works perfectly.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me just make sure I can see y'all. All right, there we go. Hi, everybody. So Carla, Eloisa, and all the other executive committee members of the Karolinska Institutet student chapter, congratulations for putting this together. This is exactly the kind of initiative that is expected of students that want to keep things moving forward. So kudos to you guys, and congratulations for putting this together. I am a PhD student myself, so the things that I'm about to say about the student network and what you get from it are really tailored to somebody that is going through a PhD program. However, the involvement in a professional organization such as ISPOR is beneficial for not just PhDs, even professionals that are working in HEOR fields or in HEOR roles. And most of the times PhDs are also working with master graduates and people trained in other fields as well. So do not think that if you're not a PhD student, this doesn't apply to you, because it matter of fact, it does. All right, so the one thing about sometimes when we hear about like, oh, this person is the leader of blah blah blah, it's easy to think, yeah, I have a completely different path. That person was touched by God, and that's how we got there. What I'm about to do is essentially say, I'm one of you. My name is Vasco Pontinha. I am a pharmacy graduate from the University of Lisbon. So therefore, my mother, my original tongue language is actually Portuguese. So Elisa, if this doesn't go well, we can talk afterwards. I have a degree in management from the Catholic Lisbon School of Business and Economics. And while I was actually getting my MBA, this was the first time that I thought like, oh, research is cool. And so one of my advisors in the MBA program said, you really should think about getting a PhD. And here I am in the third year in the pharmaco-economics program at VCU. Originally, I'm from Lisbon, this beautiful city. I am actually from the wrong side of the river of Lisbon, so not the fancy part, the other part. And right now I'm living in Richmond, Virginia. I am a nerd by nature, and I do like strategy. So I think like decision making in healthcare is very appropriate for my personal characteristics. And I have, before joining the master's degree program and also the PhD program at VCU, I worked in consultancy for AO trials. I did regulatory affairs and market access consultancy at a very introductory level. So I couldn't model when I was an assistant at Euro Trials. I worked in medical information for Bristol Myers Squibb, and I also did consumer marketing at Perrigo, that was formerly known as Omega Pharma. I think that Omega Pharma is a different name in the Nordic countries. I think it's somewhat different. Anyways, so my path was not, I was not groomed to be a student network chair. I was not touched by God. It's just part of it's something that I think it's approachable and it's attainable by pretty much everybody. And so if you guys are just finding out about ISPOR Student Network, welcome. As Carla mentioned, it is a global network. I'm going to focus on the student aspect of the organization. As of right now, we have actually this 137 student chapters actually outdated. We actually have 139 student chapters in every corner of the world. And when I say that this is a global organization, it really is. Like if you just look in the room, you have one dude that is from Portugal, that is in the United States, that is talking about a professional organization that is global. There's another person from Germany who's a PhD student that is the regional leader for Europe, Middle East, that's Felix, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So, and you really do have the sense that you're connected to all the four corners of the world, if you will. This is how, this is essentially how the student network, so the student aspect of ISPOR is organized. There's this one thing called like the Student Council, which is essentially is the combination of all the student chapters that exist around the world divided by the regions, right? So you have Latin America, EMEA means Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and you have Asia Pacific as regions. And these three regions are in contact with the student network leadership through the regional lead. That is not true for North America, just for the sake, just because ISPOR is located in the United States, like the headquarters are in the United States in New Jersey, and there are a bunch of student chapters in the country, and since the annual conference is also located in the United States, usually, or at least like in the United States or in Canada, what ends up happening is that there's no need for a regional lead for North America. But for every other region, there is this need also because some of these regions are underdeveloped in the sense that there's more opportunities for building new student chapters. So it really takes somebody that is knowledgeable, or at least close to that region, to keep promoting the mission of ISPOR and creating opportunities for students in these regions. But essentially, the Student Council benefits from or is in contact with student committees, and these are essentially like the executive team of the student network. There's this chapter development, education, grant review, meaning planning, membership engagement, publications, and survey evaluation committees that essentially put together stuff for students. And as the name indicates, education committee puts together like educational stuff. Meeting planning committee, they're a part of. They put together events during the ISPOR meetings that are very student focused. And I'm going to briefly cover what these guys do. And the main message here is, despite this seemingly vertical organization, these are opportunities for you to serve at a global level if you're interested. And there's a lot to be learned, and there's a lot to benefit from serving ISPOR in these capacities. Essentially, the leadership of ISPOR is as follows. So we have somebody that is highly connected into the business of ISPOR that is called the ISPOR Student Network Advisor. That's Zeba Khan. I am serving for 2020, 2021. There's a lot of 20s in the term as Student Network Chair. It was the best year to serve as Student Network Chair. As you can imagine, Akash is the person that served before me. And then Dr. Khalid Kamal, so we have two advisors, essentially. We have Zeba Khan and Khalid Kamal. He's a professor at West Virginia University that acts as the Faculty Advisor Council. So stuff that is more related with like what are the competencies of future HER professionals is discussed within the Faculty Advisory Council. And Dr. Khalid Kamal is the chair of this team. And then we have three staff members that actually work for ISPOR. They're part of the ISPOR staff: Jennifer, Jason, and Rebecca. So anything that is more administrative or bureaucratic, these are the people that you're going to be in contact with. The leadership team is completed by the regional leads. So Daniela Yukuma, she is the Latin America regional lead. She's in Colombia. Felix is our regional lead for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. He is in Germany. And Satish Dayalan, he's a regional lead for Asia Pacific, and he's in India. He's located in India right now. Before I talk about what ISPOR committees do, I don't know if you have to publish in a peer-reviewed journal to graduate, but if you do, consider ISPOR journals, and they are receptive to student-led research. So Value in Health, despite being, I actually never published in Value in Health. I had to publish in other journals. I never submitted one, but Value in Health actually is very receptive to student-led research. It is a great journal for you guys to essentially put your research out there. And it is very valuable for students, especially PhD students, to be published before they graduate. So consider ISPOR publications. I'm going to also focus on the Value in Outcomes Spotlight. This is the non-peer-reviewed publication from ISPOR. That's where you'll find more editorial stuff that is not incredibly scientific or peer-reviewed. But essentially, let's go back to what we do. So, and the goals that we had established for this year are the following. Like, we want to make, especially during a pandemic, right? If everything is digital, then we need to have global impact, and here we are. The other thing is, if we want to have this global impact, then we need also to develop leaders, and the way we're going to do it needs to follow a certain strategy. I told you that I'm a strategy geek, but it also needs to be innovative, because in the end, we're all students. So usually we're the people pushing things forward. In terms of like, I'm just going to focus on just the first aspect of digitalization of global impact. If you don't feel like you don't belong, you can pay your dues, but in the end, you're not going to be involved with that organization. So the number one thing that I'm focused on as Student Network Chair is that as ISPOR members, you think and you feel like this is your people. These are your peers. You belong in this group of people, and this is where you can start or continue your career. So let's just put it there, and then I can talk about what the committees are doing. So to that end, this year we're providing a lot of leeway for committees to do what they want, or to do what they feel like it's relevant for students. And the Education Committee has put together a different kind of webinars this year. They are very focused on like complementing the education that students, masters and PhD students get from their programs. So far, they've put together 3 webinars. One that is very focused on machine learning and HOR, and like what are the future directions of implementing machine learning algorithms in HOR research. If you are about to graduate, such as Eloisa, I don't know if you're thinking about internships or continuing an international career, pursuing a fellowship. If you want to, for example, like find a fellowship in pharmaceutical industry that is located within like Europe or in Asia Pacific or in North America, it is good to reach out to people within ISPOR, because most of the decision makers are part of this group. So they put together like a webinar that was about, if I'm about to apply to one of these fellowships and internships, what do I need to know? Like what is expected from an application such as this? And then the other thing that we found was that there's a lot of opportunity to complement like technical stuff from the education that we get in our programs. So therefore we started getting like webinars that are very hands-on, like how do you do this in SAS, or how do you do this in Stata, or if you were to analyze this type of data, what would you do? And that is where Dr. Karam's Diaby from Florida fits. He had a presentation about cost analysis methods using large administrative claims databases. And so far, I think this has been a success. These 3 webinars were attended by the largest number of people, and right now, if you're a student member, it's also available on demand. The speakers provided their contacts, so if you watch and you feel like you have a follow-up question, or you really want to continue the conversation with that person, they made themselves available for you guys to do that. The thing about putting together webinars like this, there's more to it, right? There's a logistical aspect of putting together the webinar, but there's also the logistical aspect of promoting it. And this is where, like, if you are as competent as Felix in making videos and promotional videos, this is where you can shine and also provide yourself as with like a global highlight. Like everybody sees videos that you make, and you indelibly touched the way ISPOR communicates now with students. So anything less than Felix's videos to promote webinars is going to be very poorly perceived. Another committee that exists is called the Meeting Planning Committee. These guys put together student-led events and student-focused events during virtual and in-person conferences. There was such a thing before COVID. One of the events that I would like to highlight is the Student Research Spotlight. I don't know if you guys are submitting posters to the virtual conference. Usually what happens is we will look at the top scored student abstracts or student submissions, and those who have scored the highest then will have the opportunity to essentially have like an oral presentation about their poster to students. Usually this happens in person. It's like a speed dating type of thing with where students can present. But this year we had to do like a Zoom meeting. But essentially what happens is you get to share your research to a global audience in something that is a little bit more advanced, such as just presenting a poster to the people that pass by. Like there's a national room, virtual or in person, of people listening to what you're saying about your research. And because the promotional aspect of this event is also very important, we're also highlighting through videos that are shared in social media and ISPOR publications as well, videos about the people that will be presenting. So the same way that we introduce a speaker from Harvard is the same way that we introduce a student speaker that will be presenting their research in the Student Research Spotlight. So yes, provide your submissions to ISPOR. And if they're good, you're going to have a global audience. That's the key message here. You're going to have global exposure. There's some other ways that the meeting planning committee provides cool stuff for students. There's this roundtable event. Usually, it's like a 1 hour conversation with speakers where students can ask questions and Q&A and all that. The membership engagement committee, they provide opportunities for students to connect with other chapters that are either more developed or have more experience in putting together. I think the Karolinska Institute is being mentored by the Cologne chapter. Is that right? Or is the other way around?
No, we mentored.
You mentored, yes, exactly. So precisely through this program, there's the opportunity of learning from other student chapters, seeing what they're doing in a more close, like a more intimate setting, if you will. The survey and evaluation committee is one where you can serve and understand like what is going on with students, what are their interests, and as the student leader, the results of these surveys are actually published as abstracts or manuscripts in ISPOR publications. So that's why I mentioned Value in Health and Value in Outcome Spotlight. So you are adding stuff to your resume while serving ISPOR. The Publications Committee obviously talks about or works to put together the newsletter, digital content as well. We are interviewing students to learn about their experiences, whether it is in webinars or when after they do an internship or a fellowship, and they also provide content for the ISPOR publications. Usually we have in the Value and Outcome Spotlight, we have a section of which I'm the editor of. It's called By the Numbers. It's a one page that is usually infographic in nature. Like it looks very infographic. There's not a lot of text, such as the one that you can see here. And usually the Publications Committee provides content for this, but if you are not affiliated with the Publications Committee, you can still reach out to me and say, hey, I would like to contribute to this section, and so if you can include me in the one of the upcoming numbers, that'd be awesome, and we can work that out. So and that's really good because like in addition to your peer-reviewed publications, you are adding editorial stuff to your resume, and you're getting yourself out there. You're putting it out there as well. There's also the opportunity of serving as an ISPOR reporter. We had 2 members of this committee serve as reporters, and actually Felix also participated as we have some joint a couple of articles that we wrote together that we reported on some of the sessions during the ISPOR conferences, and this is something that ISPOR is going to do more and more. So definitely we'll need more people. So if you're interested also in doing this, please, reach out to me. Being a reporter for one of the conferences is going to give you at least, like, say, 4 or 5 articles in 3 days. So that's significant if you want to show to your future employer that you are good at writing and putting stuff together in a quickly fashion. There are other projects that the Student Network is involved in. One of the ones that I'm mostly proud of, and we have the episode is yet to launch, but I promise you it'll be available soon. It's called the Student Network Fireside Chat. It's essentially a podcast in which students produce content for students. The first episode is essentially like a documentation of like, who are we? Like, what organization is this, and how did this come about? And then we'll also have some student interviews or students being interviewed, talk about their experiences from stuff that we put together. The second episode is also a digest of the experience of virtual ISPOR Europe 2020. So, but the main message here is that this is not a podcast. This is not Vascos podcast or the Student Network Chair podcast. This is the students podcast. So obviously following an editorial line, but I want to make sure that there are individual members and regional leads and like student chapters to contribute to this podcast. As of right now, we have one of the episodes that is in the works is going to be about a research project in which 3 student chapters from Latin America are collaborating. I can't provide any more details because I want to make sure that I don't, say something that I'm not allowed to. But essentially, it's going to be an episode about multinational research collaboration between ISPOR students. And I think that if you want to pursue the research route and you want to learn what people are doing out there, this is a great way to do that. So in summary, serving ISPOR is not just serving ISPOR. I think it's an opportunity to have an involvement at a global level, regardless of where you are. For me, it has been an incredible learning experience. Every time we put stuff together, I learn. Every time I listen from a student, I learn. Obviously, being in ISPOR, being a student leader is inexorably going to help you develop leadership skills, and it's going to help you tell a story that you've been exposed to a global audience. You know how to put meetings together. You know how to speak in public. Those are things that are also valued, whether you are a master graduate or a PhD, whatever. But ultimately, the combination of all these three dimensions is going to help you become I'm not going to say a better person, but at least grow as a person. So with that, I am done. I hope I didn't take too long. But yeah, so.
Thank you so much, Vasco.
I do look forward to your questions if you have them.
Well, I would say in the meantime, Felix could start his own presentation about his experience. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Vasco, for your wonderful presentation. I will start sharing my screen right now, and I hope everybody can see it right now. You see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes. In the meantime, there's Ola is entering the room. Is she already in? Because I want to make sure that people listen to Felix.
I let her in, but she did not join completely. Also constantly rejoining. Okay. Hello, my name is Felix Volfrum. I'm actually also a PhD student from Germany in my 3rd year. I started as a chemical lab assistant or trained chemical lab assistant and as a chemist, and later on switched to medicine and health economics, and now doing my PhD in pharmaco-economical decision making. Yeah, and I want to give you a brief overview of my personal ISPOR journey I've gone on, or I've started. As you see right here, there's also my backpack already packed, ready for the journey in ISPOR. And so it all started. So where did it start? Relatively in the beginning, my first week into my PhD, my supervisor told me, oh yeah, there's a thing called ISPOR. I heard from ISPOR before, but there's a different step if you do your master's degree and know there's ISPOR and are not really involved in conferences and more focusing on your own thing, and then starting to go in a PhD, start to reach out to other researchers and get more and more involved with an international community or international science. And she said, hey, there's the ISPOR conference, and I have 2 other students who will be presenting there. They're actually undergrad students. And why not? We have the funding, so let's visit the ISPOR Europe conference in Barcelona. This was 2018. And as you can see, Barcelona was quite a nice city. It was in the midst of November and still 25 degrees Celsius. So we had the beach for us, which was really great. But there was a first impression I got from the ISPOR itself and in big international conferences. Normally the conferences where I've gone as a chemist were like 100 or 200 people on a completely national level, or an international level like the bordering countries were also invited, but not on a full-scale international level. So it hit the full impact on me, or it hit me completely, like those talks, the research, the poster presentations, the exhibition hall where all the manufacturers or companies resided. And I was completely overwhelmed in flesh. And also, I've seen there was a student luncheon, and I was thought, why should we go, or shouldn't we go, or should we not go? And it looked like a little bit like a small conspiracy table there. I did not know much about ISPOR, but we had the membership already of ISPOR. So we enjoyed the conference, visited it, and just took away what we could get from the conference, and also used it a little bit as a micro holiday. If you go there from, if you do the short courses, there are also short courses on the conferences, good for a first impact on a research topic, or maybe another perspective on a research topic. And we were there from Friday till Thursday, so it was a quite nice experience. And this was just my first look in ISPOR. So, long story short, or the next year, arriving in the community, I had my membership. I thought, oh, what could I do more? And we thought about going to the next conference in Copenhagen. So, making ready, get your own research poster ready to be visible at the conference. And also, we thought, hey, let's found a chapter. We founded our chapter to work together and to get more involved and engage in the community. This was when also thought about getting more involved and started going into the education committee, working in the education committee in the first year I was there, and starting to help and put together my own webinar series. It was a podcast webinar casted last year in February, as February 2020, which was quite a good experience to see how to make a decentralized live podcast over 3 continents and also work internationally on projects. And then we had our chapter and we went there and a whole new world opened. There were a lot of community meetings, activities. I have the chance to meet other students, student groups. The student roundtable that was mentioned by Vasco had the great experience there and had the opportunity to engage with others. Also, we were an adopted chapter mentee at this time. So we had a cooperation with a university in the United States, which guided us a little bit there. Also, on the right picture, I had to screenshot this poster in Copenhagen. It was the most fanciest poster I've ever seen. They just put 2 iPads on the poster because I wanted to show a little bit of 3D graphics. So if you ever go to a conference and want to be a little bit more techy, just put iPads on your poster. It's the next level. And then the next step, this was the most of the biggest impact. I've called it the pandemic year, a part of the community. I volunteered as ISPOR regional lead, got engaged with many chapters, and that is where the things that I put into ISPOR with engaging into webinars, grow myself as a person, also gathers as a fruitful experience. I started participating in scientific projects. As you see in the background, I worked together in an ISPOR SIG biosimilars group project with a massive systematic review with over 10,000 literature hits. And we worked completely decentralized on this procedure. And I had the opportunity to work together a little bit off topic from my main PhD topic, but to see other resources, to see other areas, and to learn new techniques. This was really great. I learned an application of the Ryan QCRI. It's a great application for decentralized literature reviewing. And so I learned a little bit more. We had the virtual ISPOR Europe. I was, as Vasco mentioned, I was a reporter there. Also a whole new level of getting involvement, getting another perspective on those, getting those small, I would not say fully publications, but those editorial reports out there, getting in contact with the Karolinska Institutet Chapter as a mentor and also working together in Europe. And still a member of the education committee. You have seen the videos or the teasers for the videos. And my personal main takeaway in the ISPOR for everything was just networking. It enabled so much new contacts. Like, it's not visible at the first point, but if I want to go to the United States to work later, or another person in my chapter is asking, hey, I thought about doing my PhD in the United States. Do you know anything about it? I can say, no, I do not know anything about it. But I know some people who live there, who do their PhD in the United States, and maybe I can bring up a connection to them. You can ask them, you can work together, and maybe there's the opportunity, you get the information you need. Or if there's any science related part. Maybe I know a person or who knows another person that you can ask. So there's the main thing here is enabling. You get more chances, you get more contacts to people, and you have people to ask what you want. And you can ask them what you need to ask them. And usually they try to be helpful. Also, this was one of the most impressive things for me, that I have an opportunity, or have now the opportunity or the contacts to ask persons all over the world about their ideas, their opinions, talk with them, and just, I feel like I arrived in the community. I'm part of the community. I can talk with others. I can help others also. And it does not feel anymore like, oh, I paid 40 euros. I have an access to a magazine and maybe can join a conference, but more like, okay, I'm in a community and I'll do my part and I get receive things from the community. This is just a very glimpse overview about it, very brief, short. And as you see, there's also one of these editorial things. And if you are interested to also starting the journey and want to see how to get involved, of course, you can contact me. I put those data also up in the chat here. Feel free to contact me. I will provide you any information necessary to get involved with ISPOR. Also, maybe give a little bit of counseling or guiding what you want to achieve in ISPOR and maybe help you find a way. And as you see, I'm 3 years or 2.5 years involved in ISPOR and did a lot of stuff in ISPOR and joined a lot of things. And I have to say, I would not regret anything of this. It's not always fun. It's sometimes quite hard work and quite stressing and nerveful. But in the end, if you see the results, you're more than happy. Especially for the conference reports. They were a little bit stressful and a little bit hassled, but in the end, I was happy to make this experience. Also to see where I could grow as a person. I would say I could write very unemotional scientific reports, but I've seen the engaging way of writing reports was missing, and I was glad that I got help from Vasco there. Who I also did some reports with, and I've seen, oh, how could I grow with myself? How could I evolve myself to the next level and to be more a part of the community? And also, I think the picture in the background sums it quite good up. It's always a good mixture between work and fun there, and a little bit of a good relaxed atmosphere. So, and thank you for the Karolinska Institute for giving me the opportunity here to speak and for organizing this wonderful event.
Thank
Any questions?
Thank you so much. It was really nice to listen to also your experience. And so I think we got, so we're almost out of time because it's 5 to 5, but we got a question from Sergio, who is in Umeå, so in northern Sweden. And I also know that Maria is here from Gothenburg. So she's also trying to work with a chapter there. And so Vasco, do you want to give any answers?
Yeah, so Sergio, awesome that you guys are working towards opening a new student chapter. My answer is very simple. The opening a chapter is not a big hairy problem, by far from that. It is very easy. The one thing that you need to demonstrate, and that's easily done by like a letter from the faculty, is make sure that your faculty advisor, one, is actually committed to helping you guys through your HDR training. If you have formal training, it's easier to justify like, hey, there's economics in our engine. But if that doesn't exist, you need to say, well, the faculty advisor is going to be responsible for example, putting together like a weekly research group in which we're going to be discussing HDR literature. And that faculty advisor has some experience in HEOR. That's the number one thing in the application for opening a student chapter. And the reasons are, one, we want to make sure that when we open a student chapter, it will not close after like 2 years. It will not become inactive after just 1 or 2 years. And the other thing is, when students are involved as student leaders, we wanted to make it good for them. You know, like we want to make sure that people have a good experience, because if your local experience of ISPOR is bad, then odds are you will not be involved at a global level, or you're less likely to be involved at a global level, and that's counterproductive for us. So therefore, the number one thing is to demonstrate that your faculty advisor has some experience in HEOR, and that will be there's like a formal commitment in helping students get more training in HEOR, whether it is by formal coursework or informal research group meetings. And that goes to, I think, Sergio's question, or the student from Gothenburg that I gotta be honest, I couldn't memorize the name.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Vasco, for that. So I hope that, I mean, that was helpful. And we're also, like, the chapter at Karolinska is also in contact with both the people in Gothenburg and the people in Umeå. So we'll be helping each other. Yeah, so I would say that we had a very intensive session. So thank you everyone for the participation, and thank you Vasco and Felix for giving for sharing your experience. Okay, so someone has just joined, so we shared into the chat all the informations and contact details, and feel free to reach out to any of us. Also, we are on Facebook, so you can just get in contact with us there. And we hope to hear from you, either for the PhD series or like as audience for our next events. Yeah, so thank everyone again, and have a good evening or afternoon in the US.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice day. Stay healthy.
Thanks.